To welcome you all for this very special service for the eve of Holocaust Memorial Day. And I know there are many people watching us on the live stream, and I wanted to welcome in particular Marika Henriquez. Marika isn't quite well enough to be with us tonight, but it's her life story, surviving the Holocaust as a hidden child, that is the inspiration for some of the readings in our prayer book and for the film that we're going to see later. Now, this is quite an emotional day because we heard just this afternoon, miraculously and wonderfully, the last hostage, Ran Gavili, his body has been repatriated and he can be given a dignified and proper burial by his family. So we wanted to mark that in two ways. The first is to ask you to join me in saying the blessing for a special occasion we were never quite sure was going to come, and it has come. And it's bittersweet because sadly he's no longer alive, but it's the sweetness is he can have a proper Jewish burial. So we're going to say the blessing for special occasions. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. And if you have your hostage pin with you, I'm going to ask you to leave your hostage pin on the tray, and we hope very soon we're going to make it into a special memorial for all those treasured souls who were lost on October the 7th and since that time. I want now to ask Barbara Leone to begin our service. If you look in the front of your prayer book, you'll see a picture of our very special Shoah candelabra. And as we do each Holocaust Memorial Day, we think not only of the 6 million Jews, but all the other people the political opponents, the Roma, the gay people, the Jehovah's Witnesses, all those who died in those terribly dark times.
I went into open hiding when I was 9 years old. This meant hiding as an Aryan under an assumed name. I was with strangers who kept me from money. They were janitors of a house my father had designed. They had two teenage children, a boy and a girl. So there were 5 of us in their one-room basement flat. There was a kitchen, but no bathroom or toilet. I am not certain whether or not I was used or abused by these people. On the whole, events of these months of hiding slipped out of my mind like a pebble disappearing into a lake. I have reconstructions, but few conscious memories of that time.
Please be seated.
That the Holocaust was a central issue in my life became apparent only in my analysis. Until then, it remained hidden as I was in the Holocaust. I had blocked out, forgotten most events of that time. Did the waters of forgetfulness wash over the child, or did the adult deprive the child of memory?
We turn now to Mitzvah 4 and an explanation why the theme for this year, Bridging Generations, is so important.
As the years pass, we're growing more distant in time from the Holocaust and from the other more recent genocides that are commemorated on Holocaust Memorial Day. That distance brings a risk that memory fades, that the sharp reality of what happened becomes blurred, abstract, or even questioned. Bridging Generations highlights the crucial role of the next generation in preserving the memory of the Holocaust and carrying it forward. It highlights the power of intergenerational dialogue, of listening to those who came before, and of sharing those stories with those who come after. In doing so, we don't just preserve memory, we connect it to the present.
גשר צר מאוד,
is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind.
This is the duty of our generation as we enter the 21st century. Solidarity with the weak, the persecuted, the lonely, the sick, and those in despair. It is expressed by the desire to give a noble and humanizing meaning to a community in which all members will define themselves not by their own identity, but by that of others. As we come to the Baruch Hu, the formal call to prayer, would you please rise?
Please read responsively. We are called to take our full responsibility in the world.
What should we do to be of use in the world? We should devote time to public affairs and to the public welfare.
We are called to bring hope into the society in which we live.
Seek the peace of the city to which I have carried you, and pray to the Eternal One for it. For on its peace, your own peace depends.
We are called to fight for the rights of all.
If refugees live among us, we must guarantee that they have the same rights that we do. And if other minority communities live among us, then we must work to safeguard justice for them. Please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please read with me. You shall love the Eternal One, your God, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. Let these words which I command you this day be on your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children, and speak of them when you sit in your house and walk by the way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. May they be as frontlets between your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Please be seated.
we read together the statement of commitment. We recognize that the Holocaust shook the foundations of modern civilization. Its unprecedented character and horror will always hold universal meaning. We believe the Holocaust must have a permanent place in our nation's collective memory. We honor the survivors still with us and reaffirm our shared goals for mutual understanding and justice. We must make sure that future generations understand the causes of the Holocaust and reflect upon its consequences. We vow to remember the victims of Nazi persecution and of all genocide. We value the sacrifices of those who have risked their lives to protect or rescue victims as a touchstone of the human capacity for good in the face of evil. We recognize that humanity is still scarred by the belief that race or religion or disability or sexuality makes some people's lives worth less than others. Genocide, anti-Semitism, racism, xenophobia, and discrimination still continue. We have a shared responsibility to fight these evils. We pledge to strengthen our efforts to promote education and research about the Holocaust and other genocides. We will do our utmost to make sure that the lessons of such events are fully learned. We will continue to encourage Holocaust remembrance by holding an annual UK Holocaust Memorial Day. We condemn the evils of prejudice, discrimination, and racism. We value a free, respectful, and democratic society.
With photographic clarity, I see my mother putting our heads in her lap, covering them with her old fur coat to muffle the sounds. When finally we emerged from the air raid shelter, we saw that our house had been hit. My home, my childhood home, destroyed, gone. We had to go and live in a ghetto, in one of the starred houses, so-called, because they displayed the Star of David, the discriminatory yellow star all Jews had to wear over the heart. As I write this, I hear Henri Dutilleux's piece of music, The Shadows of Time, which he dedicated to the children of the Holocaust, where a child's voice stops the music with the question, why us? Why the star?
Please rise as we join Maya in singing the first line of the Amidah.
Adonai, Tifta.
Please join me on page 9. We praise you, Eternal One, our God and God of our ancestors, shield of Abraham and protector of Sarah, source of eternal life, the Holy God. Give us understanding to know your ways. Consecrate our hearts to revere you. Forgive us and make us worthy of your redemption. Keep us far from sorrow. Bestow blessing on the earth. Raise high the banner of freedom for the oppressed, and guide us in your ways of justice. Let those who go astray return to you. May the righteous rejoice in the building of your city, and behold the dawn of your deliverance. In your compassion, may the longings of our hearts come true. Hear our prayer, eternal God, whom alone we worship in reverence, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. Please be seated.
My mother's intuition saved our lives. One evening she said to our father, "We're leaving, but there is nowhere for us to go," countered my father. But she was adamant. We took off the yellow star from our clothes and left. Long we had to walk. No one, no friend or acquaintance would or dared take us in. My sister and I were eventually offered to stay the night by one of our teachers. We stayed for 2 weeks. We had to sit in total silence. We knitted. And in the evenings, like Penelope in the Odyssey, we undid all the stitches in order to have wool available for the next day. Then the hiding on my own. I did not know where my sister or parents were, or whether they were alive or not.
First we came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me.
We come on page 11 to an alternative Aleinu. Felt very important at this moment on Holocaust Memorial Day to read something that brings us together in hope. Would you please stand? We pray together. We looked to the future with hope. So many dreams have faded in the accusing light of day. So many visions of better times have turned into nightmares and blood. We have been disappointed too often, and yet still we hope. We hope for transformation, for societies where prejudice and superstition, fear and unrest give way to fullness of life and the recognition of our common humanity. We are in this together. We need each other, and we need to affirm our hope. For goodness is real, and justice is possible, and life on earth can be enhanced by those filled with an awareness of the eternal and a knowledge of their own transience. We are guests passing through. With patience, resilience, and courage, we can leave this world a little better for our having been here. This is our hope. This is our security. In the light of eternity, We have a significance we cannot measure. Moment by moment, we build God's kingdom. Our world is in the process of being repaired through us and within us. This is our redemption. We look to the future with hope.
This is an extract from Chasing Shadows by the late Rabbi Hugo Grin, written with Naomi Green. Those who survived a tragedy such as the Holocaust cannot keep silent, but must do everything in their power to testify to the fact that life is the gift of God and that it is sacred. I recreated a family. I have devoted my energy to the building up of my people. I became and remain a kind of ethical nuisance.
Wherever there is oppression or hunger or brutalization, regardless of color or creed, I consider that it is morally my territory and that their cause is my cause. Bigots, racists, and fascists are my personal enemies, and I intend to do battle with them until they become civilized, decent people, if needs be, for the rest of my life.
Time is short, and the task is urgent. Evil is real, so is good. There is a choice, and we are not so much chosen as choosers. Life is holy, all life, mine and yours, and that of those who came before us, and the life of those after us.
You'll see at the bottom of page 12 a yahrzeit candle. And on this bittersweet day, we think particularly of Ron Gavili, who's going to be buried in an honourable and dignified way by his own family. He was truly an Israeli hero who saved a lot of lives, but sadly lost his own. May his memory be for a blessing. And as we prepare to say Kaddish, we want also to honour the memories of those communities which were destroyed in the Holocaust under Nazi persecution and in subsequent genocides in Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia, and Darfur, as well as the atrocities in Armenia. As we say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach yurutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'v'chayei v'chol Beit Yisrael, b'galav v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbam v'arach le'olam al-nei al-maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitruman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitala, shemei dekutsha brichu, le'ela minko berchata v'sherata, tushbachata v'nechamata, d'amiram ba'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shema, v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom, alenu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol ha'olam, ve'imru. Amen. Please be seated. God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the water, the crash of the heavens, every human prayer. Now, as we come towards the end of the service, I want to thank Richard and Maya for beautiful music, Rabbi Emily for sharing the service with me. And I hope you'll all stay. We've got light refreshments in the concourse and then the film of Marika's extraordinary life and her healing process from the trauma of the Holocaust, starting around 8 o'clock. I know Marika's watching us on the live stream, so I want to say thank you for the gift of your book and your tapestry and your artwork. And you will be pleased to know that my husband, Rabbi David Freeman, who also unfortunately can't be here, has donated some very good red wine, so we can all say l'chaim to Marika. So, if you would please stand. Yivarechacha b'chol tov, v'yishmorecha mikol ra, v'ya'ir libcha b'seichel chaim, v'yachonecha b'da'at olamim, v'yisa pnecha sadavlecha lishlom olamim. May God bless you with all that is good, and guard you from all that is harmful. May God enlighten your heart with the wisdom of life, and give you understanding of many worlds. May God, in faithful love, offer you enduring peace.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Eric.
Tilting.
male, so it will be female, so we need this one.
So you want to put it only one? Directly into one of them? We can bring it. We can bring it once, it's easy to move it. Stick it, but it will not be sticking too much. Easy. But we move it to one.
Let's just see how it sounds.
Yeah. If we stick it over there, where it's the rest of the organ,
I am not only what happened to me, I am what I chose to become. I don't identify as a child hidden in the Holocaust. I do know that we had to go into hiding. It was probably my father, to whom I was very, very close, who must have told me something of why he's taking me somewhere and then leaves, and I have to be with these strange people giving me an instruction of who I was supposed to.
Of course, yeah, because that microphone is going to come out of there because of the way it's set up. That one is playing in the stream, and what's coming out that microphone is coming out of there. Because that's how I'm doing the sound on the stream, but it's also doing the sound in the room as well.
So now it does different input and it's still sending it to the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, so.
Okay, how easy.
Yeah.
Who cares about the NVR?
Yeah, exactly, when you can do it like this.
So now it's input and this input is changing to output and it's sending sound to the console. But how is it coming here on this side?
Right. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I don't care how it works. All I care about is that it is working. Yeah. So, right. That's the TriCaster holy trees. Nice to meet you. So you are coming just to make sure everything is good. If you just give me 2 seconds, because we decided to go early, so I now need to change the holding screen on the stream to say stream start in 10 minutes. Download. Current page 2. Download. Yes, lovely. That is done.
must have told me something of why he's taking me somewhere and then leaves, and I have to be with these strange people giving me an instruction of who I was supposed to be from now on. It's very emotional, and it's
Test, test, check, check.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I was going to say you can tell that this is our temporary synagogue, whilst the actual synagogue is being redecorated and renovated. Because as soon as the rabbi stands at the desk, everyone goes, oh, I should keep quiet. This is I hope, Marika, I know that Steve is with you, you're watching online. This is a very special film, a very special lady, and you will see how creativity enabled her to deal with great trauma. And Sal is the director. Do you want to come here for a second? Because what we would like to do is to have the opportunity after the film for people to ask questions or to share your experiences having watched the film. And Sal and I were just talking a few moments ago, and some of you will know that my family came partly from Germany and partly from Poland. So the things about what we now call the Shoah, the Holocaust, and the experience of trauma and how people deal with it, and how they make something meaningful months and years, and sometimes decades afterwards, is really significant. So let's watch the film, and we'll maybe, do you want to say something before we start?
Just very briefly, I wanted to thank you all for inviting me. Thank you, Rabbi Helen, and thank you, everyone. It's such a significant and important time. Shall I speak up a bit?
Yeah, please.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Great. I just wanted to thank you all briefly and to thank Rabbi Helen for inviting the film. And I know that it's very important for Marika, and I am so delighted that she can share this evening with you all. And I am honored to be here. Thank you so much.
I am not only what happened to me, I am what I chose to become. I don't identify as a child hidden in the Holocaust. I do know that we had to go into hiding. It was probably my father, to whom I was very, very close, who must have told me something of why he's taking me somewhere and then leaves, and I have to be with these strange people, giving me an instruction of who I was supposed to be from now on. It's very emotional, and it's my father was a remarkable man. He kept diaries, and they were unique. He recorded all events of his life, journeys, birthdays, happenings, but not with words. All of them were drawings. Everybody had a sign. I was a little bird. My sister was a sun. My mother was assigned Pi because her name started with P-I. Her name was Piroshka, so sign of Pi. The big image is of my father, who had to change his identity. He was a painter and decorator with the name of Pikulik. And it's amazing to look through them, and they were very, very useful because I've forgotten lots of things and I could decipher from the drawings what I did when. I looked at 1935 diary, which is when I was born, and to my delight I found he marked a little space with a clock as to when I was born and a little baby held by a stalk and my name. And the actual date was colored yellow, which is interesting because later on my sign was a little yellow bird. In 1943, it was useful for me to know I was 8 years old, and there is my sign singing on a little leaf. So 8 years old. And then the war years are marked. Of course, there is drawing of 19th of March 1944, when the Germans invaded Budapest. We were not allowed to own anything, so the first thing was the telephone. We cut off the telephone. Then the Yellow Star, they didn't lose many days, 30th we had to put it on. The next day, he put a little bird and the sun sign for my sister and said, "School finita," so we couldn't go to school. And that is the Star of David house, actually the ghetto, where we had to live for 4 months before we were separated. They were like a ghetto, but it wasn't a big one. They were smaller ones, and they were called starred houses because they had a star on them. My mother had this intuition that we had to leave, and there was nowhere to go. So we took off the yellow stars from our clothes and just walked around and knocked on friends' doors to take us in, and nobody did. So eventually my sister and I were taken in by a teacher of us for the night, but we stayed for 2 weeks in complete silence. I seem to remember the position of the chairs for some reason, and that we knitted. All day we knitted and then undid the stitches like Penelope in the Odyssey, so we have enough wool for the next day. 4 hours of the day we had to do something, and we weren't allowed to move because she was a single woman and nobody was allowed to know that there were somebody there and no footsteps. She would have been shot or worse. We only left because my mother had a feeling we had to leave, and her intuition was bizarrely accurate because the very next day everyone was taken from that house and shot and thrown in the river and died. The one on the right is my childhood home. I lived until I was 9, and that was bombed completely. And the one on the left, basically a ghetto where we had to move to. You can see from my father's picture that was also bombed. I didn't know that in August. My father believed that if we were christened, we might be treated differently, and he made a drawing of that as well. You know, I'm thinking, what did other people do? What happened to people who, you know, my father made by hand false papers. And he could do that, you see from the drawing how precise he was. And what happened to people who didn't manage that? I don't remember what my father told me and when, that I had to go into hiding, leaving my family and everything, and go to some strangers I didn't know. At one point we all dispersed and were hiding in different places. So I stayed with the janitors, whose name was in Hungarian Szilvasi, which means plum. Since I didn't remember anything about my hiding place, where the house was or what it looked like, somebody suggested I make a doodle of how I imagined the hiding place was. And that's the doodle I made. And it's fairly accurate, especially the lots of stairs and actually just one room, and that it was in the basement. This is a diary I made when I went back to Budapest for the 3rd time. It was quite difficult actually to find a house because street names were changed. Then I found out in a roundabout way what it was called then and what it is now, and found it on a Swedish map. That's the gate to the house. And this is the actual house. That is me standing there nervously, not knowing which button to press, and I pressed all of them until somebody let me in. These are the stairs, that's from the doodle. My hiding place was to the basement, 2 floors down. And this is the actual door of the janitor's flat, low down in the basement where I was hidden. During one night, I had to learn a different life story. Who I was, what my name was, where I came from, how I was related to these janitors, why was I there at that time. That in itself is quite a feat. I had to hide who I really was. I had to assume I was someone else, different name, different religion, everything. And when I went back to who I was, I actually forgotten who I was pretending to be, which is why I have difficulty doing this. So it's an interesting contrast, what you remember and what you forget. And actually that is true for everyone. I also think of children playing hide and seek. It's fun to be hidden, but in my case it was the opposite. I was hidden not to be found, and that was tremendously difficult for such a young child. He was very patient, kind, all the adjectives that are positive I could. I have no criticism of him at all. He was an architect. His buildings are still around. I also found out not that long ago again that he designed a synagogue. He designed the house in which I was hidden because he knew the janitors of the house, and it was they who had hidden me. My mother, she was a mother tiger. She loved her family and would do anything for us. Very feminine, baking, cooking, but very intelligent. And she wanted to be an actress, and that didn't succeed. And she could also write, so I think some of my writing ability might have come from her, and my shyness from my father, because sometimes my father had to give speeches, and some of it my mother wrote. This is me, the younger one, and my sister, who is 3 years older. She's more like my mother, I'm more like my father. She was also hidden with my father, but she wasn't supposed to know that she was a daughter of that man. So that was quite difficult. 1945 we were liberated. He made a drawing and put freedom, and a little sign for me, sign for my sister, and a sign where I was hidden. And then the next one on the 20th, this is a huge event. To Pest in a little, hardly be called a boat. And I was in such a state of anxiety and joy that I sat on my father's lap, and I was almost, he had a little bag in front of him, and I hold on to this bag and almost strangled him, and he kept saying, "Marika, just a little, let me go a little." And I just wouldn't let him go, you know, I haven't seen him. I thought he might be dead. After the war, it was very difficult. My parents tried to rebuild our lives. First Hitler and then it's Stalin. So it's two regimes that didn't particularly like me. Religion wasn't allowed. It was very different. I didn't really live a Jewish life. My father was a humanist. My mother lit 2 candles on Friday night, and I just thought it's a private ritual. When people still read children's book, I read the Hungarian classics. That made me live in a kind of strange bubble. And, you know, when communism came, it protected me to some extent. It didn't, the full force of it probably didn't come. The 1956 uprising was in October. I remember I desperately wanted to go, and my mother locked me in a room and didn't let me go. And many people left in November. Discussed my leaving the country, and I know my father was in agony. He didn't want me to go, and it was my mother who persuaded him that I must go, that this life wouldn't be good for me. So I left much later than many, end of December, when the mines were down. So it was a much more dangerous trip. It was my father who then took me to the border. We went by train. Father hired a peasant who knew the way. He gave to the peasant a little hammer, a toy hammer, and so that when I am safe and over the border, the peasant was to give the little hammer back, to show that I was all right. When I was 4, perhaps, or 5, my father had an operation, and it was my toy, my favorite toy, this little hammer, and I gave it to my father to take to hospital. I remember the journey because it was very, very cold. It was minus 25. It was a longish journey, and my friend, who was a male friend, said, under no circumstances are you to sit down because it's snowing, he will die. But if there's a tree trunk, you can rest. So I remember resting against a tree trunk. And I also remember that, unfortunately, there was no other way. We had to pass a watchtower, and that was a sort of critical point. If somebody was there, we'd be shot. They got service us, and there was nobody in the watchtower. But the mines were down, so we had to be very careful how we trod. At the border, there was a man, an Englishman, incredibly kind, and he took us to a pub and took my boots off and warmed my feet and gave us something to drink and eat. And to this day, I'm so sorry I don't know his name. What was in my mind is that I have to rebuild my own life, recreate my identity again. It was a very hard few years. I have no money, no clothes, nothing. The first job I got was in a children's library, which was wonderful, and I learned a lot of English from the children. In 1961, I married a Swedish Jew. He worked at the London School of Economics, and I actually worked there. So that's how we met and fell in love. He was the most compassionate person I ever knew. My mother died a year after I came. So I never saw her again. And I got quite ill. I had a kind of depression. I knew that she made an enormous sacrifice. So my sister was already in England. She left before the communist regime and she couldn't go back. So when I left, my mother lost both her children, and she got ill and died. And he sent me a telegram. That's the next drawing. And I kept in touch with my father all the time. And occasionally he could come. But last time he came, he was already quite ill. The first time I went back, because my father always said, don't go back, don't come and visit me. And then I heard he was dying. And that was the first time, I think 14 years after I left, that I went back. When I got there, he was already unconscious. Obviously, I held his hand and talked to him. But he died for the moment. I had to, after a while, I just couldn't be there day and night, and I had to go and eat something, and he died when I was out the room. somebody came to visit who was studying to become a therapist. And at that moment, somehow I knew, well, that's it, this is what I must do. So I went to the Guild of Psychotherapists. By that time, I read a bit of Jung, and my dissertation was Jungian, and I have to demonstrate that I know all the other theoreticians, which I did and I passed. Quite unexpectedly, I was told that I had terminal cancer. I just couldn't believe it, did not feel that that was right. Everybody, family and the medical world, they all pressurized me to make a decision and allow the operation. At the same time, I had a dream, which for me is decisive because it comes from my unconscious, my deeper and better self, who knows things that I don't know. An old woman appeared, so I thought it was a wise old woman. And she just said, have the operation, you will feel better for it. As it turned out, it was an unnecessary operation because I actually did not have cancer. And because of that, I got quite depressed. I suppose it's natural that that happened. And then 3 days later, a friend came to visit, and she put a pad of paper and crayons at my bedside table and said, draw how you feel. And if you knew me, it was an impossible request because I couldn't draw. And at 3:30 in the morning, I started to draw, and I could not stop. I just kept on drawing. I can't remember now, I was there for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and I came home and I continued drawing. I felt I must not be interrupted because I was in a different stage. I just needed to draw. I didn't want a cup of tea or people coming in. I needed to draw, and it was an intrusion if somebody came or said something. I just felt that health and Holocaust somehow was linked, that this operation reminded me of the Holocaust, that I had to suffer through something that wasn't my fault. At that time, in the past, the world wanted to annihilate me, and this time they wanted to cut things out of me that was unnecessary. So my suffering in each case were unwarranted. I relived something that made me quite suicidal. So I was deeply depressed. I was very acutely and very painfully aware of feelings and the need to somehow show these feelings in color. the wound becomes a kind of jewel, and this figure, instead of walking terribly painfully, is kneeling down as if she's kind of waiting for something beautiful. The wound became a kind of treasure. It's a treasure hard to get. It's your development, it's your relationship with your bigger self. It's everything. What I only noticed years later, a redness about the river, I realized that I not only survived the operation, I survived the Holocaust. Survived in a way that I wasn't shot and thrown into the river, which later on I called the Danube, was red with the blood of my people. I knew that children who went to the gas chambers, they have scratched butterflies on the wall. So it has a very double meaning for me, the butterfly. It is joy and horror. It appears in the bed of pain, but it also appears in the clean bee and the joy of seeing people who came because they wanted to come and see me. There was an ecstatic moment, all is well and I'm healed and everything is fine. And it's not like that. After such an ecstatic moment, there has to be the opposite, a descent. After this extreme positiveness came the most horrific picture of all, that is my depiction of the Holocaust, which I call the Chaos Dragon. This horrific darkness trying to swallow up the figure. I'm in the unconscious, reliving things. It's where your dreams come from. It's not exactly the ego. It's not the bit that you go out in the world with. It's the everything. And I had to go down there where these archetypes dwell and my horrific memories that I didn't remember. So that was a very difficult and complicated and intensely painful period, which was indicated by the spiral snake, which developed from the Chaos Dragon. until I actually emerged from the unconscious, and that was signified by a drawing called Return. This whole process from the descent, really, and then the return and feeling more whole and more strong, I find it difficult to say, but it took 2 decades. It was such a strange sort of kind of division of my inner life actually materializing on paper, and yet my daily life had to go on. I had to say to that spirit, it will happen, these images will materialize, but I'm only human, and I have to get up and eat and go to the loo. For many years I had night terrors, I had nightmares, and that too, a bit like the drawings, it took some time, it took a while until I realized that they had to do with the Holocaust. The dreams took me through, in a way, through the Holocaust by depicting the Holocaust like a tremendous, horrendous black bug that caused terrific pain and had no expression. And then gradually this bug started to diminish and became a daddy long leg. But that took time. That drawing I really hated. It's called The Obliterated Child, so that's very much a Holocaust picture. My being seemed to have been obliterated. You know, I lost my family, my everything when I was in hiding, even my name. So who was I? The biggest loss was loss of identity. I wrote a poem about her, and I called it The Lodestar. Into the attic, like a broken toy, forgotten, unknown even to herself, she huddles in a corner, dressed in dusty shadows, and seems to be waiting. Needy, she knows no hunger. Wounded, she feels no pain. She's a pauper, full of riches. She's a child in my dreams. I long to touch her, feed her, brush her tangled hair. If I could weep her tears and laugh her frozen laughter, a lodestar she would sparkle and give direction to my heart. Ended with my drawing, which I call Death. But it was a lovely drawing and a lovely feeling, and it was from a dream. Opposite my bed is a cupboard, and I put the drawings there, and I lived with them, and that was very, very important. And I took them on holiday and just lived with them. I just wanted to talk to them and wanted them to talk back to me and, find some connection, if not yet full meaning. And it was very, very important to do that. I went to a concert, and it was Shostakovich. It was a 10th symphony. I noted in the music how the main theme came in and out of it, and for some reason I thought of stitching and putting things together, and I thought of my drawings, and I thought I can't really talk about the drawings, but I could show them in a different way. And I decided to make tapestries of some of them, and that's what I did. I was as bad at sewing as I was bad at drawing. It was always torture to sew on a button. So I didn't think too much of it. I thought, well, I did a drawing. Something within me will tell me how to do the tapestries. And I didn't really want to learn from somebody else how to make them, because in the end, I wanted the tapestries to tell me why they came into existence. Every stitch a tiny step, and that's what it was like. It was really arduous work, not just the physicality of it, but emotionally. Because the drawings just poured out of me that this was stitch by stitch going through the trauma of whichever tapestry I was making. Maybe that is why my unconscious suggested in the concert to do the tapestries, because they would take a long time, so there was no escaping any feeling. I had to sit through and suffer through them and try to make some meaning of them and give substance to them. I also had pleasure of handling wool, handling the needle and doing what women had done for centuries. Snake Girl. That's the one I love and gives me comfort when I look at it. I remember we went to Regent's Park and saw a black swan, and somehow the black swan and the black snake got united in my mind, and it's a snake that comes out from her body, giving her a priceless treasure. Everything is feminine there, the beautiful girl, the mountains, the snake. And it's a kind of feminine wholeness, which one can't fully achieve. the acid bath murderer that was so horrendously difficult to make. It was actually from a dream, and the way of this demonic figure was a complete dissolution of my being. That was the symbolism of the acid bath murder. And it was a horrendous dream, but in the end, it is he who ended up in the bath, not me. But I sort of forgot that when I was doing the tapestry, and only later did I realize that that was actually a nightmare that needed to happen in order to be healed of it. I had to feel through that happening and through the trauma. Sometimes I had to stop and take a deep breath or cry a bit, but continue doing it. And the interesting thing is that I only noticed later that in the drawing, the male figure had a swastika on his helmet or hat or whatever it is. But in the tapestry, it's not there. And that wasn't a conscious decision. I only noticed when the tapestry was made and finished. Made and put on the wall, and I can then converse with it. It's no longer inside me, it's outside. And the whole point of doing artwork in the Jungian sense is to separate yourself from it by it being out there, not in here. Somebody said something really lovely, that every stitch might have been a moment of suffering. I use this in my therapy work when people are impatient about their progress, and I just say, think of it as a tapestry. Every stitch, you don't see what's happening, but in time, the image and your healing will materialize. Girl, a young child, not being able to speak and not being able to do anything. She really is a handless maiden. The large feet is something to do with the possibility, perhaps, of running away, which she couldn't. And somehow I like this one. The very last tapestry, and in fact the very last of the images. It's ended then, and I did it much later. In the drawing it was called Dying, and the end image is called Loss. It's the same image when you look at it, but the feeling was not dying, it was encapsulating loss. Also an acceptance of it. So I said it even be called tranquility. So a huge move from the drawing to the tapestry, the same image meaning different things. The bird can be a beautiful flying creature in the sky, but in this one it's a monster, it's a sinister creature. It wanted to remain like this. Much later I did that one, but this is very important because creativity is the answer, not bitterness. my dreams instructed me in various ways to return to my tradition. That if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have a soul, because my soul was occupied by the horrors. And that is how, first time in my life, I went to a synagogue. And it was extraordinary because the rabbi there was Hungarian. So my Hungarian roots and my Jewish roots immediately intertwined. And I talked to him quite a bit about myself. And at the end I said, I don't know what to do. And he just very simply said, you don't have to do anything. You are a Jew. Do what's comfortable. And the relief and the sense of belonging I felt is still with me and will always be with me. First sermon I heard was about Moses. And I realized then that my story and Moses' story had something in common. That I too was cast on the waters of uncertainty, and I too was saved. I had this moment of realization, I am not a hidden child, I am a saved one. And that started my journey of learning about Judaism and marveling and being grateful and enjoying of the great wisdom of this tradition that was mine, but I never knew I had. It was on October 17th, 1944, that I went into hiding as a child. And today, 17th October 2009, exactly 65 years later, I stand in front of this congregation to say with delight and confidence, I am a Jew. I have always been a Jew, and I always will be a Jew. I'm a bat mitzvah, a daughter of the commandments. I'm hidden no longer. The need for the image to emerge was incredibly important. It's both sad and joyous in the sense that when you cut the cord of a newborn, it leaves the womb, but it's born and it's now living its own life. And that's what I think of the tapestries and also the book. It's now, they are living their own lives.
Thank you to Joel, and I hope, Marika, if you're not still watching with us, thank you for your generosity and the moving way you talked about your individuation process. It displays, I thought, that very Jungian idea that images and creativity can be healing from a lot of deep pain. Now, Sal, if you come and join me, I don't know if people have questions or queries or comments.
If people don't actually have any comments or queries, it was really funny. The night when she received that wound at Station 4, I was working that night as I used to work at Station 4. And it has been bugging me why I knew her name before I first read the email, and that is why.
So obviously, Joel, it was meant to be that you would show her film. How lovely.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah, can you just say it again?
Yeah, I would just say that I've come from Dublin to see this, and my brother, my twin here, and his partner. And I just feel so privileged and emotional to just listen to the film, and I just think she's a beautiful, wonderful woman, and we all should be very proud of her as being Jewish, but also as being somebody that has given so much really through her art and her experience.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody else, my brother might want to say something. Thank you.
I loved the way she said creativity is the answer, not bitterness. I thought that was beautiful.
Sorry, sir, for the purposes of the Zoom.
I was wondering where the art collection was, because it mentioned the museum, but I was wondering if it was in London, but it's definitely Zurich. Yeah, sorry, I missed that.
Yes, there are actually 3 museums in Zurich that relate to Jung. And there's a very wonderful one that has artwork, Jungian artwork, including Jung's artwork. And she has her work there. And it was opened recently, like 2 years ago, while we were making the film. Yeah, that's very exciting that it can be seen there. Marika lives in Gloucester Road, or Gloucester Avenue, so she's quite near us, and we hope that she's watching and with us. And she'll be so pleased and excited by you coming from Dublin and everybody here. It's very, I just want quickly to say thank you to Joel. It was a really wonderful projection, very special, and I have to say, I watch it every time. I adore her drawings and her... Okay, I adore... She doesn't still paint or do embroideries. I think it was something that came profoundly and deeply out of the trauma, out of that period of experience. And so she's not, it's very specific. I mean, I think it was quite a long period where she was able to express these profound feelings and communicate them.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you came across her and what inspired you to make the film? Or were you requested to make it?
I was requested. Steve Goff, who's a dear friend who I went to film school with, met her through his wife, who's Jewish.
And a member here.
And a member here, yes. So she invited Steve to a book signing. I have her book. If you go to the Chaos Dragon and the Light website, you can buy the book, and if you do it through the website, I think you get £5 off. It's a wonderful book. I'll get it out of my bag in a minute. But Steve came to me and said, this is a really wonderful person. It's an important story. Will you make the film? And he's with Marika at the moment, helping her with the technical side, so Joel and Marika could be in touch. But I am very interested in work by people with experience of trauma or mental health issues or whatever it might be. I profoundly believe in the power of art to transform. And I saw her, when he came to me with this idea, he showed me the book, and I completely fell in love with her artwork. And I watch it every time, and every time, I've watched this hundreds of times. Of course, when you edit, you watch hundreds of times. I absolutely adore the drawings and the embroidery.
Is it on YouTube? Can you watch it on YouTube?
No, I'm afraid you can't. I think my producer, if you go to the website and you respond, she can, I think there's a small fee or a fee so that we can keep running the website and screening the film and, doing whatever we have to do.
The overall importance of maintaining the memory of the Holocaust, are there other stories being recorded and history?
I'm sure there are many stories. I'm sure there are a huge number.
I don't know if you've come across what the Steven Spielberg archive, what they've tried to do. If they've gone to the Show Us Survivors that are still with us and talked to them about their own life stories. And I went just a week ago, actually, to City Hall. They did a thing for Holocaust Memorial Day, and they did something really important. They had a Jewish girl who'd been born in 1942 in France, so the fact that she survived was a miracle, really. And they also had a Bosnian Muslim survivor of the massacre in Srebrenica. It's very important that's why I think it's so moving when Marika talks about creativity being the healing process. Because I think when she speaks, and Marika, I hope you are still watching, you can see in her face and her warmth and her engagement with the artistic process, quite how healing it has been for her. And I think she must be a fantastic therapist.
Yes, over there.
Sorry,
go on.
Waiting 3 questions ago.
So kind, thank you. I have the privilege of going to see Marika quite often. This is part of my job, which is lovely, and have learned so much from her. And I just wanted to ask Sal, in this process of having made the film, what is it that you've learned or really has blown you away, that you've taken personally from this process of being with Marika?
Wow, that's a big question. My father, who died when we were children, once said that if he'd been in Germany, he would have been killed, which is the only thing we really know about the fact that there is, that I am partly Jewish. So for me, it was an opportunity to explore something about this culture which I had not had any experience of. So that, in a way, is a great... And I have a cousin who married a wonderful filmmaker who is Jewish, and I had started to ask myself, why haven't I gone on this journey? And so this, I think, obviously, the first thing was Marika's artwork, but then I think also
there was a sense in which I wanted to make another journey, a personal journey. So I think this is perhaps what's, for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
There was somebody over here, I think, yes?
Hi, Sal. I've seen this film, I think this is my 4th time now, and I learned something new about Marika every time, and I also have the privilege of knowing Marika, and at the beginning of the film, I think the first thing Marika says is that I'm who I've chosen to be, not what was done to me, and I think that comes across so beautifully, and speaking to what I've learned about life from Marika, and what I love about Marika is just that despite everything, it's her joy and her warmth and her passion for life, and this journey that she's taken through art and her healing it just shows her tenacity and her absolute force of life, that she just wants to grab hold of everything that's good and hold on to it and send out this beautiful story into the world. And just thank you for having created such a wonderful way of giving Marika a louder voice.
Well, thank you so much. I totally agree. And I think what's really important, and one doesn't know this beforehand, of course, the most important thing in a film, whether it's a documentary or a fiction film, is the casting. You have to get the casting right, and that's what will work. And what Marika has is a joie de vivre. And I think with a subject as dark as this, if you don't have that, a film is unwatchable. So what we have in Marika is, through her joyful presence, she can communicate something so important and share something, as you say, it's creativity, not bitterness. We live in such hard times where that could not be more true. We have to come together as in humanity. And I think she is able to communicate that. So thank you. Yes.
We've got time for one more question, I think. Has anyone got a question or comment? I can see somebody there, yeah.
I'm from Dublin as well, and I just want to say I was very moved when she says at the end, I am a Jew, and she was bat mitzvahs. I thought that was very significant and lovely. I just want to thank you. That's a very beautiful film and very, very powerful.
Thank you so much, and I thank you on behalf of Marika primarily, but also the whole team. We had a really wonderful team. I think the editor was quite extraordinary. There's real poetry. She's created real poetry, I think. And I'm hugely grateful to work with a really wonderful and very lovely team. And thank you so much, Helen and Joel and all of you.
Well, I want to really, really recommend this beautiful book. I don't often say that about a book. The Hidden Girl, The Journey of a Soul by Marika. I read it, I think, in one day because I couldn't put it down. It is so beautiful and so healing. In a world with too much darkness, she brings a bit of joy and a bit of light. So thank you everyone for coming. Safe journey home.